Hi, I'm going to read to you the story that was published in Chicken Soup for the Soul, Miracles and Divine Intervention that I wrote about my Grandma G, who was such an inspiration to me, such a special lady. And I inherited her sewing machine, and which completely felt like divine intervention to me. And so here is the story. Enjoy. Sewing a legacy. You may be gone from my sight, but you will never be gone from my heart. Henry Van Dyke, Jr. When I was 24 years old and pregnant with my first child, Grandma G suddenly left this earth. Just days after her passing, our family cleaned out her apartment. This being the first death of a loved one in my adult years, I was devastated by the process of sorting through her belongings. I felt like an intruder in her home and sick at the sight of family members rummaging through her possessions, picking things to keep for themselves. Grandma's jewelry box had been emptied onto her bedspread, and people were sifting through it like they were at a garage sale. "I love this necklace," my cousin said. "I'm keeping it." I didn't want any of it. These were Grandma's treasured items, not a giveaway. "Stacy, you should take the sewing machine. You learned to sew in 4-H, right?" I don't remember who said it first, but everyone agreed that I should take it. I was the only one who'd learned to sew and didn't have a machine. I shook my head. "No, I can't. It's Grandma's." I remembered visiting my grandparents' farmhouse as a young girl. The area where Grandma sewed doubled as the play area. My sisters, cousin, and I knew that the sewing machine was not to be touched, nor was the sewing stool, which was oh so tempting. The seat of the stool opened to a secret compartment that held threads, buttons, and lots of mysterious gadgets. It was off limits to children, although I may have peeked once or twice. My cousin paused from sifting through jewelry and said to me, "Would you rather we donate her sewing machine and a stranger takes it?" I hadn't thought of that. The suggestion made me sick to my stomach. My cousin was helping me to grasp the reality that Grandma wouldn't use the machine again. It was no longer hers. But I could make it mine and remember her and all the projects she'd sewed with love. My discomfort over ransacking Grandma's place was replaced with humility that I could be the keeper of Grandma's meaningful possession. The sewing machine sat in a corner of my living room for months, not out of sight nor out of mind. It felt too sacred to touch. Possessing the sewing skills of a 9-year-old, I was unworthy of messing with Grandma's machine. Then it dawned on me that perhaps I could learn the craft and continue her legacy. A year later, I decided it was time. I bought pretty fabric and a pattern to make my daughter a dress. I removed the machine from the corner and set it on my dining room table. Lifting off the lid, I saw the spool she'd placed, the needle threaded by her arthritic fingers. I had second thoughts, wanting to leave everything just as she had left it. I liked thinking she was in the middle of a project that she would be returning to. But I wanted to continue her legacy. How special would it be for me, her granddaughter, to place my fingers where she'd placed hers, to learn to use those mysterious gadgets in the stool, to sew clothes for my baby girl as Grandma had done for me. I could do this. I took a deep breath and lifted the machine out of the bottom part of the case. When a pink scrap of paper caught my eye, I picked it up and read my own address on the paper. I gasped and my heart swelled with joy and wonder. Grandma had ripped the return address label off an envelope I'd mailed to her and must have placed it in her sewing machine case. The label was confirmation that Grandma wanted me to have the sewing machine. I didn't know how God had orchestrated the events, but I knew that my address label was proof that I was the rightful new owner of Grandma's sewing machine. I cried happy tears. This precious treasure was residing at its new address. In addition to my daughter's dress, I've sewn curtains for our home, Halloween costumes, a wax museum costume for my children, and masks for family and friends during the COVID-19 pandemic. I'm so grateful for the divine intervention that helped me to heal and experience joy despite my grandmother no longer being physically present with me. I keep the return address label in the stool and find myself in awe every time I see it. What a precious gift. The end.